So when we left off, we were talking about distance of shot. Now let's move on to talking about camera angles. Again, there are more than three camera angles, but just to make life simple, let's talk about the three main ones. So we have an upward angle shot, a downward angle shot, and a straight on or level shot. So an upward angle shot usually makes the object appear bigger than it would if you were shooting something straight on. So for example, here are pictures of two trees. If I asked you which tree looks bigger, you might say the one on the right, simply because of the upward angle shot, making this tree seem very much like it's looming over top of us. Oftentimes, the upward angle shot is a strategy used to signify to the readers that an object or person that's in view is quite powerful. So sometimes it's used logistically, meaning they do it just because they want something to look bigger than it is. For example, if you've ever seen the movie The Hobbit, you know that the hobbits are supposed to be small little creatures. So oftentimes you'll see characters like Elijah Wood being shot with a downward angle shot to purposely make them seem smaller. Or, for example, if you ever watch Harry Potter, you know Hagrid is oftentimes used or shot with an upward angle shot to make him appear larger and more powerful than he is, or in real life, I should say. So here we go, an example of an upward angle shot, a picture of Barack Obama. So why are we using an upward angle shot here? Well, if an upward angle shot denotes power or tells us that the picture we're looking at is a picture of a powerful person, well, I think that's a perfect message for the President of the United States, because if he's trying to inspire his people to think that he is a good leader that can take care of them and play a really important sort of paternal or fatherly role to the nation, an upward angle shot is a perfect way to do that. Now, the opposite of an upward angle shot is a downward angle shot. Usually, when a director uses a downward angle, it's to make the person or object appear smaller than it is. And when an object appears small, it can sometimes also be seen as lacking power. So the same principle, but just the opposite. So the SPCA often uses this downward angle technique to help gain support. You look at both of these little animals, they're so cute. The downward angle shot makes them appear smaller than what they are. And not only does it make them appear smaller than what they are, but it makes us, the viewer, the people looking at the picture, feel like we are taller than them, like we are bigger than them. And of course, why do they do that? Well, if they want us to feel powerful, perhaps we will feel like we have enough power to actually try and help these poor little animals. They need our help. We are the ones that are going to help them. So again, the downward angle shot not only makes them appear as though they need help, like they're smaller, but makes us feel, the audience, like we can actually do something about it because we feel much bigger. I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to talk about a straight-on angle shot. Just briefly, I'm going to say that when you use a straight-on angle shot, it usually does not denote power, either lack of or more to. It's just kind of a neutral type of angle that's being used. Okay, the next technique that we're going to talk about is lighting, also very important in photography. So whether a photograph is set brightly or shadowed, lighting has the ability to alter people's moods greatly. So to illustrate this, I'm going to look at the same characters in two different lights, and hopefully we can see that the lighting really portrays different ideas in each of the pictures. So because I'm a creepy old lady that likes teenager books, of course, I'm joking. I would like to use the example of the characters Edward Cullen and Bella Swan from the movie Twilight. So here is an example of these two having a really passionate moment. And I would like to not talk about the distance of shot, but let's talk about the lighting. Let's characterize it. I would say that it's a fairly bright image. It looks almost like it's daylight, like it's sunny. In addition to having a lot of sunshine or brightly colored lighting in here, we can see that even the color of the curtains in the background are a yellowish orange, which is again kind of a happy, positive color. To look even further with the lighting, I just want to point with my little mouse here, if you're looking at the image, take a look at the lighting, the bright lighting in between their two faces. If you look at it, it almost is the shape of a heart. Well, doesn't that heart symbol just fit so perfectly with what this image is portraying? I mean, even if you look at the outside of their heads, it's also forming the shape of a heart. So this lighting is being used in a really fancy way here to add symbolism and to help emphasize the theme of this sort of undying love between these two characters. Same characters, different lighting. I think when you look at the secondary image, you have a much less positive, a much more negative sort of feeling or mood or tone when you look at this. It's very dark. It looks like it's nighttime. There's lots of dark clouds. So right away, we sort of get that gloomy, eerie sort of feeling. And if you're familiar with the story at all, you know that it's the story of a love between a vampire and a human, and the concept of how can these two people from very different worlds sort of come together and find a place that works for both of them. So again, let's get back to the lighting though. You'll also notice that it's a very bright light being shone onto their faces, and it almost emphasizes the sort of sickly pale color of their skin. Again, these do not look like healthy people, and if we're trying to say that this has a positive relationship, you would never know by looking at the lighting and the color techniques here. The lighting also is really emphasizing the dark shadows under her eyes, and again, I think that is a bit foreboding, because again, if this is a positive relationship, like we eventually find out that it is, but based on this picture, we would never know because it looks pretty sickly, pretty scary, pretty dark. Okay, so that's lighting. So here we have, again, the same two characters, very loving poses, but very different feelings based on the colors in the lighting. So again, I'm going to talk about color in the same video because color and lighting are so connected. So such as lighting, color also has the great ability to change a viewer's mood. A photograph's color tone also has the capacity to transport you to another time and place. So consider the following photograph. This is an image of me on my wedding day. So you get to see a little piece of me. So if you take a look at this, we have, it's a colored photo. And if you take a look at the lighting, specifically in the sky, it helps tell the story a little bit. Behind me, everything looks a little bit dark, but behind my husband, everything looks a little bit light. And with him holding my hand, and with this little hill that's happening beneath us, it almost looks like he's pulling me up the hill out of my darkness and into his light. So if we want to say, hey, this looks like a pretty positive picture, it looks to me like the union between these two people will ultimately be a good one, that I'm following him into a much brighter place. So this is the use of color in a photograph, but I want you to take a look at the same image using a sepia tone. Here we go. So the point that I want to illustrate here is that by changing the tone, we sometimes can transport us into a different time period. This almost looks like it could have been taken in the 1930s or the 1940s, right? Not to mention our clothing is a little bit timeless in the photo. So again, if you want to denote a change in time period, the use of color can often help you do that in photography. I'm just going to pause it right there and we'll move on with another video in just a moment.